Waitress saves Notorious Mobster, steals cash. What happens next will leave you inspired for life. Anna wiped the counter, her movements a rhythmic dance, grease and grit giving way to the sparkling promise of the diner. The neon lights flickered like anxious stars in the heavy twilight of the city, and inside, her little haven thrummed with life until that day. It started like any other evening. The regulars chuckled, sharing stories over greasy burgers and milkshakes. But then, as if the air had been sucked out of the room, Tony the Shark Merino sauntered in, a shadow casting itself over the gleaming chrome. Soft murmurs danced around the room, mixing with the clinking of utensils and the hiss of the griddle. Faces turned towards Anna, wide-eyed as whispers fell into silence. She felt a knot in her stomach. Tony, the reputed mobster, with connections that curled into dark corners, ordered his coffee. Her hands trembled, yet she couldn't let fear dictate her actions. She poured his coffee, the steam swirling like tendrils of uncertainty. The weight of every life lived in this diner settled on her shoulders. Suddenly, the front door burst open, and chaos erupted. A rival gang stormed in, guns drawn, the metallic sting of fear cutting through the chatter. Time slowed, and Anna instinctively lunged towards Tony, pushing him to the floor with a force she didn't know she possessed. The diner erupted, bodies scrambling, screams cutting through the smoke of violence that and the frenzy. Anna spotted a duffel bag slipping from one of the attackers. Her heart raced as her hand closed around it. In a flash, she declasped her father's old wallet, the familiar feel anchoring her in this storm. Looking around, she saw eyes wide, mouth gaping. This was not her world, but here she was, clutching the cash that whispered promises of a better life for her ailing mother and younger brother. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The sirens wailed in the distance, a reminder that the world they knew was about to crumble. Conversations buzzed and clashed around her. Should she keep the money and secure a future, or was returning it the only way to shield herself from the wrath of Tony and his cohorts? Her heart pounded as her mind spiraled through the dimensions of right and wrong, testing her upbringing, her values. Then, Anna's gaze locked with Tony's as he slowly stood, brushing himself off. With a courage she never knew she had, she approached him. You live in fear, Tony. You hide behind a facade. But why? Why take what others struggle to earn? Her voice broke through the tension, igniting a fire in the patrons. Their collective breaths held, waiting for his response. A hush fell, and to Anna's astonishment, he offered her a smile, one that hinted at the fragility of power and the weight of choices. The diner's buzzing energy transformed into something deeper, a daring plea for hope over despair. Just as Anna felt empowered, she realized something crucial about the cash in her hands, a truth that could shift everything she thought she knew. Staring down the barrel of this revelation, Anna stood at a crossroads, her choices glowing like neon lights in the dim diner. The community held its breath, waiting for her decision, and the tension crackled in the air, the kind that promised change or disaster. What would she choose? The answer loomed, just within reach, a heartbeat away. Anna's heart raced like a wild stallion, caught in a storm. All eyes in the diner were glued to her. Was she really about to face Tony, the feared mobster, head-on? For a moment, she felt the weight of their expectations, almost like a spotlight illuminating her face, burning her cheeks. Keep it, Tony finally said, his voice low and gravelly, cutting through the electrified silence. You earned it. Earned it? Anna echoed, incredulous. Are you serious? How could you even? You saved my life, he interrupted, his dark eyes showing a flash of something human. Vulnerability? Regret? Whatever it was, it sparked a flicker of anger in her. Did he think this exonerated him? Did he believe that just because she had acted bravely, He was off the hook. A corner diner full of people held their breath, like they were all part of an old movie waiting for the next scene to unfold. But the moment was too heavy, too fraught with danger. She clenched the bag tighter, the weight of it pulling her down, mixing hope with despair. By saving you, I put everyone here in danger. She shouted, the frustration bursting forth. You think the big shot will be haunted by this? No. You'll just go back to your life, and we'll be left to pick up the pieces. Maybe I don't want to go back, he said, standing a little taller, his mask slipping just enough to reveal a glimmer of humanity in the depths. The flickering lights reflected off his face, and for an instant, she saw a man who was not just a mobster but perhaps a person trying to escape a cruel fate. What do you mean? She asked, lowering her voice as curiosity crept in. Maybe there's more than this, he said, gesturing around at the diner, the neighborhood, the lives intertwined. I didn't choose this, you know. It's only about survival. And maybe I want something more than just surviving. Anna's heart wavered, caught between sympathy and anger. The chatter around them faded, the din of the diner washing over into a lull. Her mind flashed back to her brother's laughter and her mother's waning health. And what about us? What about the people you've hurt? Heal with me, Tony said, that hint of a smirk returning. Help me change this story. You could do something bigger than worry about some cash. You could change lives. Change lives. The idea wrapped around Anna's heart like a soft blanket, warm yet suffocating. Could she really shift her focus from struggling to thrive to changing the tides? What if she could break this cycle? She shook her head, uncertain. I don't know. Do it for your family, he pressed, taking a step closer. You're strong. You stood up to a gunman for a life you didn't know you could save. You can dictate your own destiny, Anna. The sirens blared closer, shaking her from her reverie. She had to make a choice. Scrambling past the chaos in her heart, she took a breath. Would she dare ally herself with a mobster to pave a new path, one with its own perils? Courage surged within her, battling the nagging fear. Anna felt the world tilt as her decision echoed in her mind, stirring an adventurous spirit. Within that charged moment, everything hung in the balance: hope, danger, potential. As the doors burst open with officers pouring in, she turned towards Tony, their fates intertwining. Let us change this, she whispered, daring the universe to listen, and just like that, the line was crossed. The door to a new world swung wide open, but questions remained. What dangers awaited them? Would she emerge a hero or become enmeshed in a story darker than she could imagine? The air crackled with uncertainty as the police swept into the diner. Anna's heart raced faster, not from fear but from an intoxicating mix of adrenaline and hope. She locked eyes with Tony, the moment crystallizing into something they both couldn't ignore. Get out of here. Now. Tony half shouted to the patrons, his voice commanding yet layered with urgency. Anna watched as the stiff faces of regulars turned from fear to shock, uncertainty blooming in their gazes. How could a quiet waitress suddenly become entwined with a man who had come to symbolize danger in their everyday lives? She turned back to Tony, who was already moving, his powerful presence pushing through the growing chaos. Follow my lead, he snapped, grabbing her hand, pulling her toward the back exit. The sound of sirens filled the air, a chorus warning of the unraveling spectacle. Was this really the way she wanted to step into a new story? Everything felt heightened: the pounding beat of her heart, the rough tug of Tony's grip, the smell of grease blending with the electrifying scent of rebellion. Outside, the alley was cloaked in shadows, the din of the diner swallowed whole by the buzzing adrenaline. We can't stay here. Anna almost shouted, a tremor of excitement mingling with her fear. She could run. It would be easy after all, to slip back into the life of normalcy she craved. But she hesitated, caught off guard by his suddenly vulnerable expression. Just give me a chance. Please, he pleaded, his eyes boring into hers. I might be a monster, but underneath, I want to do right by everyone. You can change the rules if you stick with me. In that moment, a flicker of something deeper sparked within her: compassion, maybe even trust. This man, feared by many, craved redemption like she craved a way out of the struggle that suffocated her family every day. Was it possible that they could change the narrative together? The wail of sirens sounded closer now, slicing through her moment of hesitation. "What's the plan?" she said, her voice steady despite the tempest swirling inside her. She had never thought herself capable of confrontation, let alone engaging with a mobster. "Follow me." Tony tugged her forward, leading her deeper into the maze of alleys. Each turn felt like they were tumbling into an adventure, away from the familiarity of the diner and its mounting dread. As they rounded a corner, Tony glanced back, the tension of their escape crackling in the air. "Stick close, this is just the beginning. If we get through this, I promise we can do something that matters." The words ignited a fire in her spirit, propelling her into the unknown. Did she have it in her to follow him? To stand beside him as they fought against the norms of their destinies? But even as her resolve grew, doubts clawed at her. Would she lose herself in this dangerous pursuit? Could she really save anyone, including herself? "Where are we going?" she panted, adrenaline fueling her escape. "To a place where we can start fresh," he replied, his voice earnest, almost hopeful. In the distance, she heard heavy footsteps approaching. The sirens were no longer just a warning, they were an omen of the inevitable confrontation waiting just ahead. Breathless, she took a tentative step forward into the vast unknown. As the shadows stretched around them, one thought consumed her. Would the choices they made lead them to liberation or further into darkness? The tension hung, thick and heavy, as they sprinted onward, hearts racing, two restless souls attempting to rewrite their stories against all odds. The sound of footsteps echoed behind them, growing louder with every hurried breath Anna took. She risked a glance back, her pulse quickening at the sight of uniformed officers spilling into the alley. "They're getting closer," she gasped, her grip tightening around Tony's hand. "Just keep running," he urged, his voice steady despite the chaos brewing behind them. They darted down a narrow passage, the walls lined with graffiti that told stories of anguish and hope, struggles existing in the city long before they ever intersected. They made an abrupt left, plunging deeper into the labyrinth of alleys, where threads of orange streetlights flickered overhead, casting ghostly shadows that danced on the brick. Tony slowed for a moment, pulling Anna close as they reached a dead end. He pressed her against the wall, his breath quickening, matching the urgency in her chest. "We need to think fast," he murmured, scanning the area. "I've got a hideout nearby. Just a few blocks from here." Anna's heart raced not just from the thrill but from the uncertainty gnawing at the edges of her mind. Would Tony really be able to keep her safe? And more importantly, what if they were discovered? What if they catch us? She whispered, looking into his eyes, searching for reassurance. "Then we'll face the music together," he replied, and for a moment, she saw the man beneath the monster, the flicker of vulnerability, the weight of responsibility. That single moment stoked her courage again. "Trust me." The sound of sirens echoed ominously, morphing into a symphony of impending fate that urged them forward. "Okay," she squeaked to herself, steeling her resolve. "Let us go." With Tony at her side, she embraced the chaos. They emerged from the alley and into a bustling street, the night alive with music and laughter. It felt surreal, a world so normal juxtaposed against the terror of moments ago. They slipped into the crowd, blending into the revelry while remaining acutely aware of how easily they could be unmasked. Over there, Tony pointed discreetly toward a bar, its neon sign flickering like a beacon of safety amid the city's frenzy. "We'll wait for a few minutes," they pass by. Inside, the bar buzzed with patrons oblivious to the storm brewing outside. The rhythmic beat of music pulsed through the air, wrapping around them like a comfort blanket. They settled into a dimly lit corner booth, the muffled chatter providing a cocoon of anonymity. "What do we do now?" Anna asked, her voice steady yet filled with a tinge of doubt. Here, she was just Anna, the waitress. This place was a different life. Yet with Tony, every part of her felt alive. "We take a breath," Tony replied, his gaze intense, "and then we figure out our next move." She studied him, the tough exterior crumbling slightly as he pinched the bridge of his nose. In that moment, he was not the ruthless mobster everyone feared, he was a man just trying to find a way through the darkness that threatened to swallow him whole. A waitress approached, her smile bright, adding a punch of normalcy to the air. "What can I get you to?" Anna realized she hadn't even felt hunger or thirst during their frantic escape. "Just water, please," she replied, glancing at Tony. "And you?" "Same," he said with a vague smile, the briefest hint of the boyish charm she had glimpsed earlier. As they waited, an undeniable certainty settled over Anna. This was just the beginning. She could feel that something was growing between them, something that defied the chaos surrounding their lives. Then a new thought bubbled to the surface, demanding attention. Would saving Tony truly mean saving herself? They both were tangled in shadows, but perhaps together they could find their way back to the light. Just as the waitress returned with the drinks, a commotion near the entrance caught Anna's eye. A group of men dressed in sharp suits and dark sunglasses swept into the bar, their presence a stark reminder of the danger lurking around every corner. The heat in her chest rose as fear clawed at her senses. "Tony, who are they?" He turned, the color draining from his face. "My past just walked in." Anna felt a chill run down her spine. The stakes had just risen, and there was no way out now. What would they choose when faced with the ghosts of their past? The tension in the air thickened like fog, wrapping around Anna and Tony, squeezing the breath from her lungs. She could barely think above the frantic thud of her heart. Those men, every calculated move, every sharp glance, they were trouble, and she knew it. "Stay calm," Tony whispered, his eyes scanning the group as they moved toward the bar, their presence demanding the attention of the whole room. "They can't know we're here." Anna felt the world around her blur into a haze of muted voices and clinking glasses. The bar had transformed into a ticking clock, every second echoing the weight of danger creeping closer. She took a deep breath and forced herself to focus on Tony. In this moment, he was her anchor, yet he was also the hurricane threatening to sweep her away. "Can you see who they are?" she managed to ask, keeping her voice low. "They work for Giovanni," he said, his jaw tight. "If they find me, it'll get messy." "Giovanni," Anna repeated, a name that felt heavy in her mouth, like a stone dropped into deep water. She had heard whispers about him, tales of his ruthlessness. "What do we do?" "Just breathe. Don't let them see you panic." Tony's words were filled with urgency, but there was a firmness to his resolve that steadied her. "We're getting out, but we need to be smart." As the group settled at the bar, the chatter around them faded into background noise. Anna could feel the warmth of the crowded space surrounding her, dancers swaying to the music, laughter bubbling up in joyous bursts. It felt surreal, being enveloped by life just feet away from her greatest fear. "Look," Tony said, nodding toward the exit on the far side. "When I say go, we slip out the back." Anna nodded, her pulse racing. She gripped her glass, the coolness grounding her. She could see the men now, their laughter dark and oppressive. It felt invasive, like they were a specter in the room that loomed closer with every chuckle. Time dragged. Every minute stretched into an eternity as they waited for the right moment. Anna's eyes flicked from Tony to the men, her mind racing through possibilities, scenarios that could unfold. "And then now," Tony whispered, bolting from the booth. They dashed low, weaving through tables as Anna's heart hammered in her chest. She could feel the weight of gazes following them, could hear a voice shouting a name. But they had just one shot. The back door swung open, revealing a narrow alley, its shadows cloaking their escape as they sprinted into the night. Breathing heavily, Anna dared to glance back. The bar was receding, those men mere shadows now. "What's next?" she panted, catching up to Tony. "There's another hideout a couple of blocks from here," he replied, glancing over his shoulder. "But we need to be careful. No loud moves. Their chase had transformed into a frantic flight through bustling streets, the distant sounds of life contrasting the urgency of their situation. Each footfall felt like a heartbeat, driving them forward, yet Anna couldn't shake the questions rising in her chest. "And if Giovanni catches us?" she asked, urgency and fear intertwining in her voice. Tony paused, his expression darkening. "Then we'll find a way to fight back. Together. Together." That word hung in the air, thick like the night around them. Anna's heart softened momentarily at the thought of standing side by side, but a heavy weight still lay in her mind. What does fighting back truly mean? And at what cost? As they turned a corner, the flicker of another neon sign caught their eye. Hope flashed for the briefest moment, but even that shimmer flickered with uncertainty as the sound of footsteps echoed behind them once again. "What now?" she whispered, dread pooling in her stomach. "Run," Tony said, determination hardening his features, but something deep inside Anna stirred. Maybe this was her moment to choose, her moment to take control of the shadows. "Wait," she said, stopping him. "What if we don't run? What if we turn around?" Tony glanced back, confusion filling his eyes. "What are you saying?" She took a deep breath, the fear mingling with courage. "What if we confront them? Fight for our lives?" The weight of what lay ahead loomed larger than ever, but Anna felt the spark of hope flickering within her. This could change everything, not just for them, but how they faced the storm together. In that heart-stopping moment, with the decision hanging between them, would they choose to run or stand their ground? The night held its breath, waiting for their choice. The night pulsed with uncertainty as Anna and Tony stood in the dim light of the alley. The footsteps behind them were closing in, relentless like a tide that wouldn't recede. Anna's heart raced, a wild drum echoing in her chest while she locked eyes with Tony. "What if we fight?" she asked again, her voice steadier this time. It was no longer a question tinged with fear, but a statement of resolve. "We can't let them dictate our fate." Tony hesitated, his expression wavering between caution and something akin to respect. "You really want to face them?" He glanced over his shoulder, calculating. "This isn't just some bar brawl, Anna. Giovanni's men don't play fair. What does that matter if we keep running?" She shot back, a fire igniting in her belly. "Would you rather they catch up to us? We have to take the risk. Together." His resolve flickered, the weight of her words settling in. She saw it in his eyes the moment he shifted from doubt to determination. They couldn't be passive victims of a fate they didn't choose. "Okay," he said slowly, almost reluctantly. "But we have to be smart about it." As the footsteps grew louder, they aligned themselves against the cool brick wall, taking deep breaths, both bracing themselves for what was to come. Anna could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, merging with an unexpected clarity. This was not just about survival, it was about reclaiming their lives. A figure emerged from the shadows, eyes gleaming with menace. It was one of the men from the bar, a broad-shouldered guy with a scowl that could cut glass. "Where do you think you're going?" he called out, a sneer forming on his lips. "Right back to you," Anna answered, surprising herself with the confidence that bled into her voice. "Did you think we'd just run away without a fight?" The man laughed, a grating sound that echoed in the alley. He stepped closer, flanked by two others, forming a wall of muscle and intimidation. "You think you can take us on? You're out of your league, sweetheart." Anna's back straightened. She felt Tony at her side, a silent promise of solidarity grounding her. She shot him a quick glance, and he nodded, the unspoken agreement passing between them like electricity. Before the men could react, she reached for a nearby trash can, gathering all her strength. "Let's give them something to really laugh about." With a swift motion, she grabbed a handful of refuse, sending it flying toward the nearest thug. He recoiled, surprise evident on his face as the debris exploded in a spray of garbage and plastic. Tony lunged forward, moving like a coiled spring. He tackled another man, their bodies crashing against the wall. The third thug hesitated, shock flickering across his features for just a moment, and that was enough for Anna. She clenched her fists, adrenaline pushing her forward as she darted past the chaos. "Get back!" she shouted, her voice ringing out, filled with a fierce energy she never knew she had. The alley exploded into a whirlwind of activity. Fights broke out, fists flying and curses laced with disbelief. Anna had stepped from fear into action, and it felt liberating. But in the frenzy, that exhilaration came with a price. Each punch thrown resonated with the weight of her fear. Behind her, she could hear Tony grappling with the men, his presence bigger than the shadow he cast. She had to do her part. Heart pounding, she snatched a broken bottle from the ground, its jagged edge feeling intimidating yet powerful in her grip. "Is this what you want?" she challenged, brandishing the makeshift weapon. The men froze, realizing they underestimated the waitress who had become so much more. Just then, a loud crash echoed down the alley, and Anna felt the sudden pulse of fear again. Was this their chance for escape or a mere distraction? "Anna, watch out!" Tony warned. The noise drew closer, a car, its headlights sweeping over them, illuminating everything in white light. It was a sign they could either embrace or run from. In that breathless second, Anna faced the choice. They could flee into the safety of the night, or perhaps, just perhaps, this was the moment where they could change the narrative entirely. "Together!" she shouted, the courage surging through her. But what they didn't know was that this confrontation was only the beginning of something bigger than they could ever imagine. Would they be strong enough to weather what was brewing in the darkness? And as shadows danced and danger loomed, their resolve was about to be tested in ways they could never predict. The headlights bore down on them, a blinding beam that made shadows dance wildly on the walls of the alley. Anna's heart raced at the sight. She was torn between the thrill of confronting these thugs and the instinct to flee into the unknown. The car screeched to a halt, its tires skidding against the gritty asphalt. "Get back!" Tony shouted, pulling Anna closer as they braced for the worst. The driver's side door swung open, and a man stepped out. He was tall and sharply dressed, his confident stride oozing authority. Anna squinted into the harsh light. Was he friend or foe? "Carmine!" the man called out, and the thug with the scowl looked up, his arrogance faltering at the sight of the newcomer. "You want to pick a fight with these kids? You're wasting your time. Mind your own business, Giovanni," Carmine spat, his bravado shaken. Giovanni? Anna's mind raced. She remembered the name whispered at the bar, an enforcer, the kind of guy who commanded respect and fear. But why was he here defending them? Enough. Giovanni's voice was a low growl that cut through the tension like a knife. "You're not ruining my night with your pathetic attempts at intimidation. Let them go." In that moment, Anna felt a rush of conflicting emotions. Relief flooded her as Tony's hand tightened around hers. Could they really be saved? But also, uncertainty lingered. Why did this man care about them? "What's it gonna be, Carmine?" Giovanni challenged, his glare sharp enough to slice. Carmine hesitated, glancing at his cohorts. They shared uncertain looks, the bravado evaporating. The fight had slipped out of their hands quicker than they had entered the alley. With a disgruntled grunt, Carmine turned, signaling his men to follow. "This isn't over," he muttered as they retreated into the shadows. Anna exhaled a breath she didn't realize she was holding, collapsing against the wall for support. Did that just happen? She laughed, a mix of disbelief and adrenaline fueling her. "We actually stood our ground." "Yeah, I guess we did," Tony replied, still catching his breath. His gaze shifted to Giovanni, who had now approached them, assessing the two with measured interest. "Are you all right?" Giovanni asked, his tone softer than she expected. "You two handled yourself well." Anna nodded, her voice still shaky. "Thanks for the save. Why did you even help us?" He chuckled, a deep but charming laugh that echoed softly in the alley. "I've seen my share of unfair fights. No one should go down without a chance. His eyes softened as they met hers, almost as if he understood something deeper about her. Most people wouldn't have stood up to them, Giovanni mused. Especially not someone like you. You showed guts. Guts? Or insanity? Anna replied, a smile creeping across her lips. I mean, I just flung trash at them. Giovanni raised an eyebrow, and a smirk played at the corners of his mouth. Sometimes you have to get a little dirty to fight back. Tony shifted beside her, a near-silent question lingering in his eyes. What would this mean? Were they safe now, or was this just a temporary reprieve? Listen, Giovanni continued, his demeanor growing serious. You can't stay here. They'll come back. I can help you, but it won't come without risks. Are you ready to take a leap further than you ever thought? Anna's heart thundered in her chest as she met Tony's gaze, the question hanging heavy between them. Was this the beginning of something new or just an extension of the chaos they were trying to escape? We can't go back, Tony finally said, his voice firm. Then follow me, Giovanni replied, a mysterious glint in his eye. He turned, leading them toward the car, the night stretching ahead with uncertainty but also a spark of promise if they were brave enough to embrace it. As they stepped into the unknown, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. But part of her wondered if this was the right choice, or the point where everything would spiral further from control. And with their futures entwined with Giovanni's enigmatic path, Anna understood. It was time to decide. Just how far she was willing to go to reclaim her life. Would she sink deeper into the world that had beckoned her, or find a way to rise above it for good? The car's interior was a stark contrast to the chaos outside. A plush leather seat enveloped Anna as she slid in beside Tony. Giovanni settled into the driver's seat, his demeanor shifting as he turned the key in the ignition, the engine rumbling to life. Anna glanced out the window, watching the alley fade into the distance, and a wave of uncertainty washed over her. What now? She whispered, half to herself, half to Tony. Giovanni glanced in the rearview mirror, catching her eye. Now, we get to safety. Then we talk. The night air felt heavy, thick with anticipation and a hint of danger. The streetlights flickered past like silent witnesses to the transformation happening within her. She wanted to believe Giovanni had their best interests in mind, but the shadows of doubt lingered. As they drove deeper into the city, Anna tried to piece together the puzzle of their bizarre encounter. Who was Giovanni really? The stories whispered at the bar cast him as a formidable player in a world where fear and respect danced a dangerous tango. Do you trust him? Tony's voice pulled her from her thoughts. His brow was furrowed, concern radiating from him as if it were palpable. Do we have a choice? She replied, her fingers fidgeting with a loose thread on her jeans. He saved us but he is still a part of that world, Tony finished for her, his voice laced with an edge of worry. What if it's a trap? The car made a sharp turn, and Anna felt a jolt of adrenaline spike in her veins. We can't keep running, Tony. We have to take a stand. I know, he said, his gaze unwavering. But at what cost? Giovanni's voice broke into their conversation, smooth yet commanding. You've been through a lot tonight. You're both shaken, and that's understandable. I can help you find a way out, an opportunity, if you're willing. She turned to him, trying to read his expression. What do you mean? What's the opportunity? With the right connections, you can go from being at the mercy of thugs like Carmine to being someone they respect, someone with power. Power? Anna scoffed, incredulous. You're talking about playing with fire. What's the catch? Giovanni met her gaze head-on, his expression serious. The catch is this: once you choose this path, there's no going back. You'll be drawn into a world that demands everything of you. It can consume you or it can set you free. You'll have to decide how much you're willing to let it take. Silence filled the car as Anna and Tony considered this. Choices. They were standing on the precipice of a decision that could change everything. The weight of it pressed down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. What if we fail? Tony finally asked, breaking the stillness. What if we just end up deeper in trouble? Anna thought of the alley, the threat hanging in the air like a storm cloud. What if we don't try? What if we just let them keep controlling our lives? Giovanni turned the car onto a quieter street, the lights dimming around them. You may find that accepting help is the first step toward reclaiming your narrative. But know this: you will have to fight to hold on to it every single step of the way. Anna swallowed hard. The fire in her belly sparked again, igniting a realization that she couldn't ignore. Life had always been a fight, and maybe this was the chance she'd been waiting for, even if it meant stepping into the unknown. What do you need us to do? She asked, her voice steady with newfound resolve. Giovanni shot her an approving glance. Good. But I need you both to understand the risks. Are you prepared for what's ahead? As Anna and Tony exchanged a look of determination mixed with fear, she wondered if this leap would lead to liberation or entrapment. Could they harness this power without losing themselves in the process? And as the car rolled onward, Anna knew one thing for sure: whatever lay ahead, she was ready to fight for her freedom. Was Tony ready to take that leap with her? Only time would tell. Anna couldn't shake the feeling that they were teetering on the brink of something monumental. Each mile they drove pulled them deeper into Giovanni's world, a realm where shadows whispered secrets and loyalty was currency. The hum of the engine was the only sound, underscoring the tension swirling in the air. Giovanni finally broke the silence. First, we need to regroup. We have a safe house not too far from here. His tone was steady, laced with a confidence that made Anna both anxious and oddly comforted. Safe house. She echoed, her mind racing with possibilities. And then what? You think we can just leave all this behind? He glanced at her in the mirror again, eyes unwavering. You won't leave it behind, Anna. You'll learn to maneuver through it. The underbelly of the city has its own rules, and you'll need to master them to survive. Tony leaned forward, eager for clarity. And how do we fit into your plan? What exactly do you want from us? Giovanni's lips curled slightly, almost a smirk. It's not about what I want from you. It's about what we can achieve together. You both have the potential to thrive, not just exist. I can guide you to be players in this game. Her heart pounded. This was what she wanted, wasn't it? Control over her own fate. But the thought of being a player in a game that could swallow them whole hung in the back of her mind like a storm cloud. And if we say no? Anna asked, her voice threading with determination. What happens then? Then you remain pawns, Giovanni shot back, his demeanor sharp. It's a dangerous world out there, and you can either be in charge of your destiny or allow others to dictate it. Anna met Tony's gaze, and they shared a moment of silent understanding. The path ahead was fraught with peril, but the alternative was a life squashed under someone else's heel. The car made another turn, and the streets began to thin out, the sounds of the city replaced by a more subdued ambience. Giovanni's expression softened slightly. After tonight, there are those who will be looking for you. If you're on your own, the odds are stacked against you. What do you mean? Tony asked, his tone low, the reality of their situation beginning to sink in. Their eyes are everywhere. Carmine won't rest until he finds you. We must act quickly. Giovanni's voice was commanding yet filled with an undercurrent of urgency. They pulled up to a nondescript building, its exterior dull, void of any flair. No one would guess it housed secrets. Giovanni turned off the engine and faced them, a glimmer of seriousness in his eyes. This is your new home for now. But remember, while you're under my roof, nothing is guaranteed. You'll have to earn your place, and that starts with making connections. Anna took a deep breath, heart fluttering. And what's the first step? Giovanni drew in a breath, and the weight of his next words pressed down on them like a heavy blanket. We'll need to show the right people that you're not to be trifled with. Power respects power, and we need to ensure everyone knows your names. A moment passed as Anna mulled over the magnitude of his statement. It felt like a gamble, an all-or-nothing bet on their lives. What if it all spirals out of control? What does that cost us? Giovanni's gaze fixed on her, unwavering. That is the heart of the matter. What are you willing to give up to reclaim your lives? As they stepped out of the car, the cool night air wrapped around them, echoing her uncertainty. Anna felt the weight of the world pressing down on her, yet something deep inside ignited a blend of fear and fierce hope. With her heart racing, she took a resolute step forward. Was she ready to change her fate, or would she fall prey to the darkness lurking around her? Tonight was a pivotal moment, but would it lead to the power they sought or simply pull them deeper into the abyss? The city felt alive, and she wondered what would happen next. As the sun dipped below the horizon, draping the world in soft, golden hues, Anna sensed a change within herself. The fear that once ruled her was giving way to determination. Giovanni's words echoed in her mind, "What are you willing to give up?" Tony stood beside her, his presence steady. A partnership formed under the pressure of chaos. They both understood the stakes. There was a fire in Anna's belly, a fierce glee intertwined with the uncertainty that lay ahead. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was a promise. "Let us do this," she whispered to Tony, her voice steady and resolute. They turned to Giovanni, who stood, arms crossed, a knowing smile on his face. "Good. Now, the first thing you need to know is respect is earned," he declared, leading them inside the nondescript building. The door closed behind them with a weight that felt like a promise and a warning. Inside, the safe house was sparse, minimalistic, but had an air of resilience, walls bearing the scars of the world outside. Giovanni motioned for them to take a seat at the wooden table. A map covered the surface, sprawled like a constellation of choices and paths, waiting for them to navigate the complexities ahead. "This is where we'll start building your new beginnings," he said, laying out their options like a general strategizing a battle. "We need to make your presence felt in this world. People need to know you're no longer victims." Anna glanced at the map, her heart racing. "What do we have to do?" "We're going to take some calculated risks, work with the right people, and remind others of your newfound power. If we want to take down Carmine and his crew, we need to operate within the shadows and come out blazing." A rush of excitement churned in her chest. This was her chance. To finally step into something greater than the limitations that defined her. Tony's expression steadied, reflecting every doubt and strength that danced within him. "But we need to be careful," he interjected. "We can't draw unnecessary attention. What happens if it backfires?" Giovanni nodded, his gaze intense. "Every move we make must be deliberate. We're painting a picture, and the world watches, but they'll soon realize you're not just background figures. You're key players." Anna and Tony exchanged glances, understanding blooming between them. This was more than just revenge, this was their opportunity to carve their own destiny. Days turned into weeks as they immersed themselves in this new reality, each interaction shaping their evolving identities. They met with other players, the grizzled veterans of the underground and those who lived along the edge, thriving in what they gleaned from the unforgiving shadows. Anna worked to build connections, proving her worth through cunning strategies and sheer tenacity. She learned the delicate art of negotiation, weaving her way through the maze of male bravado, showing them she could hold her ground amidst threats and danger. The fire within her blossomed, morphing from embers to a flame. Tony found himself drawn into this turbulent world, too. He transformed from a scared whisper to a booming voice, rallying support with a charisma that surprised even him. Together, they faced trials that tested not just their strength but their resolve, facing the consequence of their choices head-on. But perhaps the most poignant lesson emerged from the shadows: they became more than just a pair clinging to survival. Through it all, their bond deepened, fortified by trust and shared trials. Anna learned to see strength she never thought she had, while Tony redefined what it meant to be brave. One fateful night, however, the stakes skyrocketed. Word came that Carmine had laid a trap. A reckoning awaited. As tension coiled tight, Anna and Tony stood together against the rising tide, the map laid out before them. "This is it," Anna said, gripping Tony's hand, the rush of their decisions crackling like sparks between them. "This is our moment." Giovanni leaned in, his dark eyes flickering with intensity. "Are you ready to show them who you really are?" Together, as partners forged in fire, they stepped out into the unknown. The thrill coursed through their veins, the sirens of the city a cacophony above. Eyes ahead, they were no longer just survivors, they had become warriors of their own destiny, and they would take the fight to Carmine. Anna felt that fire ignite anew. She had gone from waitress to a beacon of resilience. This was the life she had always wanted to claim, full of power and choice. With a sharp inhale, Anna grinned, standing tall and facing whatever shadows awaited. They were ready. And then, she knew a line had been crossed, an ending was just the beginning of a new chapter filled with promise, hope, and the kind of transformation that defined who she was becoming. The world opened up before them, and in that moment, she realized, while their stories started in darkness, together they were forging a path into the light, and as they stepped forward, Anna felt the stirrings of change and awakening within her, knowing this was just the beginning. You need to subscribe now to follow Anna and Tony's incredible transformation in the next chapter of their journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our community grow stronger. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this powerful ending. What did it mean for you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this daring fight for freedom. Let's spread the inspiration.